60% of interviewers make up their mind on a candidate within the first 15 minutes of an interview. And another 25% of them actually make up their mind in the first 5 minutes of an interview. What does this tell you? Well, what it should tell you is that if you don't do well in that first 5 or so minutes of your interview, it doesn't matter how well the next 50 minutes of it goes. You still might not get the job. In today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to do to get off to a good start in your interview and get invited to the next round or get an offer. Let's go. Hi everybody, my name is Ben with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 11 years experience in interviewing, hiring, and recruiting. And I am passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible and land your next job. In today's video, we are going to be talking about getting off to a good start in your interview. How do you maximize those first 5 minutes so that you can get past that, get out of first impression zone, and really deliver in the rest of the interview, knowing that you maximize that first 5 minutes. But before we get into that, do me a favor, take 3 seconds, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell if you are new here. And if you are not new, welcome back. Now let's get into the video. Now, the first thing I want to do is all about body language because, believe it or not, that is incredibly important. No matter how well qualified you are or how well your resume looks, no matter how well you've performed, interviews matter. And it's not always the most qualified person who gets a job. A lot of it comes down to interviewing, and at the very beginning of an interview, there is body language. So let's just say, hypothetically, you are walking into an office right now to meet someone. Here are the important things. You want to look them in the eye. You want to smile. You want to reach out your hand with a firm handshake. Now, point here, you don't want to do limp noodle. You don't want to do that, but you also don't want to try to crush their hand. But a nice firm handshake, smiling, looking them in the eye, that is the first step. Next thing, this is a small one, but it matters. When you're interviewing, you want to make sure that when you sit down in the chair, you're continuing to smile, you're continuing to look them in the eye, but you want to make sure you are upright, okay? So you don't want to be leaning forward like this. It's a little bit awkward, right? And you don't want to be like this. No, this is not a good look. What you want to be doing is upright, confident, looking them straight in the eye, smiling. This is the basic for body language, but if you do these things right off the bat, you're already getting off to a good start. The next thing I want to talk about is your hands. It's kind of like that movie Talladega Nights. Ricky Bobby's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Well, I can't help Ricky Bobby, but I can help you. What you want to do is you want to take your hands straight to your side. You can put them on the outside of your legs, and then you only want to use them when you're making gestures to emphasize your points. You don't want to do it violently or widely, though. You're talking about small little gestures like this, like, oh, and then I did that and that and that. You don't want to be like this. You don't want to be like this. You don't want to be like this. Hands to the side. And then when you're making your point, feel free to use them in gestures just to show an extra emphasis on some of the points you're trying to make. Like right here. This is a good way to use your hands. Not like this, like this. The next thing you can do is you can start the interview off with a good dose of politeness. One of the things that I like to do when I'm a candidate, and I'm not a candidate very often anymore, if ever, but when I'm a candidate, I like to thank them for their time. So you sit down, you go, hi, Ben, it's nice to meet you. Oh, it's nice to meet you too. I'd like to start just by saying thank you. I know you were busy and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today and answer some of my questions. Something like that. It's a polite way, and it shows the person, Ben has strong communication skills, he is polite, he is someone I potentially would want to work with. It's a small one, but do yourself a favor, thank them for their time. The next thing I want you to do is use my +2 rule. So what that is if you're meeting with one person, bring 1 copy of your resume plus 2 additional copies of your resume. If you're meeting with 7 people, bring 7 copies of your resume plus 2 additional copies for your resume. No matter how many people you are meeting with when you go into interview, you want to bring an additional 2 copies so that if 2 people get pulled into that interview, right, 2 people who you were not expecting to meet, you can go, well, it's good to meet you. I actually brought some extra copies. Here are 2 extra copies of my resume. Some of you are probably thinking right now, Ben, that is so old school. Who wants physical copies of your resume? Probably about half the people you're going to interview with. So here's the thing. Whenever I'm talking about something where it's 50% important, like thank you letters or cover letters or bringing physical copies of your resume, I always tell people, what is the upside to rolling the dice that the person you're going to meet with does value that and does want a copy of your resume and you don't have one to give them? I always tell people, bring paper copies of your resume, bring 2 extra in case additional people get pulled in. A lot of people will not care, granted, But I know many people who have said to me, Ben, I liked this person because they brought in 2 copies of the resume, or they brought in physical copies of the resume. And on the reverse, like the flip side of it, I have literally had people say to me, yeah, Ben, I don't know about this candidate. They didn't bring in, some printed copies of the resume. So I didn't think they were prepared or they were professional. It is a small thing, but it's one of those things you can easily control. So do yourself a favor, print out copies of your resume and bring however many you're gonna meet, +2. Bring that many copies of your resume. The last thing I wanna do is just remember in these first 5 minutes, there are a few things you wanna do, and some of this reiteration: smile, be friendly, and be confident. People are looking to hire confident people who they feel can come in and do the job. Why do interviews happen to begin with? It's because you need to hire someone to do a job. And nobody wants to hire someone who they feel isn't capable of doing the job or maybe isn't up to the task. By coming in and appearing confident, by smiling, being straight up, looking them in the eye, and speaking with confidence and passion, you are showing them that you believe you have the ability to do the job. And if you don't believe you have the ability to do the job, why should they believe you? Well, there you have it. Those are my tips to crushing the first 5 minutes of your interview, given the amount of people who place like an inordinate amount of stock in the first 5 minutes and really go with their gut and on first impression. It just makes sense to have a plan. This is a good plan. Good luck in your next interview. You've got this.